Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
All my life I've awaited your coming and dreaded it.
I like them French fried potatoes.
Insanity runs in my family. Practically gallops.
I always have a wonderful time, wherever I am, whomever I'm with.
This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
We're lucky to have it happen once a week. We get him on the program. He is Senator Aric Putnam. Love having him on. Senator, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Better. You are the second show that's going to make it to the Al Travis Show YouTube page. I don't like the word subscribe. It sounds like you got to pay for something. Maybe I'm old school. It doesn't cost anything, folks. When you go there, hit subscribe. It doesn't, yeah. Anyway,
I'm fine. Subscribe, I think you should tell people to care.
See?
Care about the Al Travis YouTube channel.
It's a more loving place. Why are you not in marketing, my friend? You're wasting yourself at that college level. I had three things to discuss today. I think one you and I are going to really be on opposite ends on, and I don't know if you want to start there or end there. You decide. ICE at universities. I don't know, what do they call it? Floriculture versus agriculture. You were the star of the Star Trib, by the way. You'll be good at that. Or the budget. Your thoughts? Which one would you like to jump on?
I got lots to talk on the budget front, but I'm good with the other two too. Whatever. No, this is your show.
Let's start with ICE on campus. The couple of stories, I think 3 so far, if I'm not getting them confused. Read a couple of stories on it. ICE coming into Minneapolis schools, U of M, and here in Mankato, and picking up people. Schools are quite a bit upset. What got me about it? Here's what got me about it when I first heard the story. The schools were quite upset that they were getting no information on the who, what, why, and where, and that sort of thing. And I thought to myself, is this the same school that tells me I owe money for tuition for both my boys, but will not tell me what their grades are because I'm just the dad? Well, I guess I'd make fun of the ICE program. Here's my point. Really not your business, university, if they're adult human beings, because you've already told me I can't know my kids' grades, but I can pay for them. You know my point? I'm not sure it's the ICE's job to tell you. That was my first thought, but then I got down to what I'm sure you're upset about. Should we be plucking kids out of school?
Well, so here's the thing, and you're right. We're going to be on opposite sides on this one, because I feel pretty strongly on this front, and I don't.
Well, I thought you would.
I don't think universities should be upset. I think Americans should be upset.
Fair enough.
Look at what happened to that young woman from Turkey. The ICE agents obscured their faces, took her without charging her with anything, flew her 100 miles away from where she was to interrogate her because she wrote something critical about Israel. That she's a PhD student from Turkey who was here on a legal visa, but she was abducted by ICE. And not only was she abducted, they obscured their faces when they took her. Dude, there's no place in America where that should be acceptable.
Well, and again, I don't like the obscured faces, and I don't know how we can go about it. With this gal, the Turkey gal, I would throw out, because, again, knew nothing about her before this happened. Mm. She was in her 15th year of her doctorate here in America for 15 years on a green card getting her doctorate. 15 years.
Dude, it's hard. It can be hard.
Well, it can be hard, and it's not your original language. I don't disagree. It can be hard. Mm-hmm. But on the visa thing, and I'm throwing out, and I'm going to forget the guy from Florida who's the Secretary of State. Rubio. Anyway, Rubio, thank you. Came out and said, you are here on green cards at the pleasure of the United States. That's what you get a green card. You're not given the free speech rights. And if they thought she was inciting anti-Jewish rhetoric, they have the right to say you don't get to do that. Now, that's just the laws. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but just because you're here on a green card doesn't mean you get all the rights of American and free speech, say anything you want. Hate speech, you're gone. I don't know this gal. I'm not sticking up for it. I did notice 15 years as a PhD student might be using the system to stay in America for all that it's worth. Because maybe other green card people want to come and get just their regular degree, but this gal's taken up 15 years. I'm not ripping her. I don't know her. I don't disagree with you on how we're going about picking people up. But and she's not a gang member. I'm a common now, switch sides. We don't know who the good guys and bad guys are. We believe they're Triangle is the gang guys, whatever it is. How do you know? They don't carry a wallet with saying, hey, I'm part of the gang, that sort of thing. So what do? I got to trust we're trying to do the best we can. And until you prove me otherwise, I don't like the mask thing either, but then I guess the next group would know who's coming to get you. I don't, I'm with you on it, but I don't know how to do it. How do you get 20 million people out of the country?
Well, here's the weird thing. We are supposed to be Americans. You know,
Well, we are.
The government doesn't abduct us. Like, regardless of whether you're here legally or not, you should not be getting abducted. You can get arrested, but getting abducted is a totally different deal.
Yeah.
And the government, the state, abducted someone for how she was talking about stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's pretty shady.
It's not. And again, I'm not sticking up for it. I had a legal Spiegel guy come on here from California, ex-U.S. Attorney General guy, and I asked him what the laws are on this. I mean, we carry your papers. I mean, other than my driver, I don't have papers saying I'm a U.S. citizen unless my driver's license says. We're not all carrying papers. So how do we do this? And here's his example, and I just throw it out there. He said if a U.S. border guard catches you coming across the river. Now, he used Juan as a little bit. So Juan comes across the river, you pick him up the other side, he's still wet, right? You get him from crossing the river. You have the law says you can pick him up, bring him back across the river, and say, stop. You don't get to do that. His point is, what's the difference if you got here and you just were here long enough to dry off? You're here long enough to say, I've been here a year and a half. Nothing changes. That the rule that a border guard has the right to bring you back is the same law. That was his analysis of it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's true. If I robbed a bank, I still robbed the bank. Even if I got away with it for 10 years, I still robbed the bank. You're still here illegal. This gal, again, I'm not fighting her. I don't know her enough. But I don't know how else you do it. I don't know how you get 20 million people out. You're going to break some eggs. It's sad. We got to do the best we can not to. But I don't know how you do it otherwise. Well, and I don't think schools should be a safe spot. Colleges.
Yeah. Well, one thing is I don't agree to the premise that we need to get 20 million people out. So I'll start with that. But the other thing I think is important is that she was here legally. What's wrong with sending a letter?
Oh,
send her a letter. Like, we are supposed to be a civilized country, committed to democracy.
Don't disagree. You can invalidate her green card if she did whatever she did. I'm not saying I have no idea. You spoke too bad about Trump. Even I don't care. Whatever the bad thing is, they send a letter saying we are revoking you 30 days to get out the country. Your visa's done. Yeah. I would even go 15 years to get your doctorate. That's enough. You got to go home. But anyway, I don't disagree with you. I do disagree with you on what does it take then if there's roughly 20 million who have gotten here that are undocumented. If you want to call them that, I call them illegal. You call them undocumented. What's it take to get them out of the country? Or are they just, you get in, you're good? What do we got to do?
I don't think we got to kick them out, first off. One, and I think 20 million people, I'm not sure it's 20 million. I think it's 11, isn't it? Like, even with that number, there's a lot of different reasons why people might be here in different places, or they might have different legal statuses. So, like, people like this woman we're talking about from Turkey was here legally. Next time her green card comes up, don't renew it. That's how you deal with it. You don't.
With green card people, I completely agree. But if they're saying 10 million just in the last 4 years came across illegally. How do you get them out then? They don't have green cards. They haven't registered with anybody. They're just here doing whatever they're doing. Is the illegal entry enough for you to get rid of them? Is that a lot big enough fine? Nope. See, then I ask you, what is, if you're here, how long? What do you got to do? You have to have this. One of the kids in, I want to say it was the Mankato kid, but it might have been the Minneapolis kid, had a DUI. You're illegal, got a DUI, so they grabbed him and threw him out. Is that enough?
When you break a law in the country, you should be punished by the laws of that country.
But except for the one about coming in illegally, that's my point. Is you already have one strike. You came in illegally, and now you got to have another one before we decide whether we'll look at you. And that's where I think you and I differ.
Right.
The very first law was when you jumped in. Now, some have some very good reasons. Some just think it's a better place to live. Oh, okay. We're not going to. I'm glad we never covered the school part. Is what I was going to say. Oh, is being in college a special armor than if you were just at the bakery? If you happen to be walking to the bakery and you got picked up. Is it any different than going to the college? No,
I don't think so. But I would say one thing is that, like, for K-12 schools, it's illegal for ICE to do that. The ICE cannot just that's total violation of federal law. If ICE goes onto public schools and starts looking for people like they say they want to, that is
for kids. I think that's for kids under 18. But if you were Joe, 21-year-old janitor guy, I'm just making you an adult, and you're working at a school on the side, they can go get you there. The school isn't like a safe zone if you're of age. I believe that's an age thing. They can't go get kids, is my point. Well, no, I think they can get adults if you're there working illegally.
To your bigger question, are colleges special? I don't think they are.
Fair enough. Now, what about this fluoride, floriculture versus agriculture story? You were in the Star Trip. I don't think this will be a big one. Some gal's got like 4 acres raising some sort of flower thing, and she wants to. I don't know how you make more. Every farmer I know says they can make no extra money. They're screwed. But this gal wants to be part of the ag community. And I'm thinking to myself, what do I care? You grow flowers, you grow soybeans. What do I care? Why is this a thing? And you were quoted in the paper.
So
this
I don't know
is big.
What did I say? I didn't.
Well, you're very eloquent. I don't remember. You were joining the side with Druskowski about, they should be. I think you said you were shocked with how much revenue there was for a 4-acre flower farm or something. I can't quote it direct. I don't have it up here.
But here's the thing that's messed up about this is the flower thing is a real small part of this. The bigger part is the 10-acre rule. There's a rule that says if you have 10 acres or fewer, you're not a real farm. And so you don't get any of the kind of tax benefits of being agricultural land. So that's what I was trying to change. Okay. Because you got a lot of people working 5 acres doing produce, and they don't get any of the mortgage credits for that sort of thing. So then Druskowski's like, well, what about flowers?
Well, and the flower gal, is she watering crap? She's digging up soil. It really looks farmer-esque. Now I throw this at you because my brother actually has like 6 chickens or something. I mean, he had the chicken thing out. You go calling him a farmer, cutting him some breaks. Even I'm going to be, come on. He gets the eggs. That's enough. There is a line there, but why is it 10 acres? I would have no idea.
Well, no, so I actually got a law that gets rid of the 10-acre rules, but when you do that, you also have to file what's called a Schedule F, which is proof of farm income. So it's not just, you got 6 chickens. Okay. Cool. You have to sell a lot of eggs. But right now, that's 2 eggs. You could probably sell 2 eggs and do well enough to be considered a farm.
My bigger problem with this whole thing is the marijuana guy. Now you're saying you can grow your own marijuana the state says you can grow your own marijuana. How many marijuana farmers will we have if you cut this down to hey, look, I got 12 potted plants. You know what I'm saying? This is a slippery slope. There's more to it than I thought when I first read the story. But when I see Aric Putnam, his name in the paper, I'm reading the story. That's all I'm saying.
You put it up on your board with the red yarn connecting things.
I put it all together. There's a back thing going on here. I gotta go. We gotta come back because I know the budget is huge. I'm thinking it's a big shell game going on. I want to talk to you about it after this. It's Senator Aric Putnam on the Al Travis Show.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
There are many ways to explore Alexandria. Some like to experience the outdoors and all the fun winter in Minnesota can provide. Pick your favorite way to get in touch with nature. Others like to explore downtown in the warm comfort of a boutique or gathered around a table with friends. You can do all of that or relax and do nothing at all. Come explore Alexandria. Start planning at explorealex.com.
amongst friends. The Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
I've got him, Senator Aric Putnam, on permission to use a common man analogy for the budget. Permission?
All aboard.
All right. Al's wife gives him $50 a week to go to the golf course on Wednesdays and be a big spender. Buy a drink for yourself, buy some for your buddies, tip the waitress well, just to be that guy. $50 a week. One week I decide to buy a scratch off, see what happens. Ooh, he wins $100. I spent $150 that Wednesday, really showing the guys a good time. I'm buying everything, I'm tipping big. The next week, I don't have $150. So I tell the wife I need $100. I'm cutting back $50. And all of a sudden I got $100. This is what's going on with the budget. So $71 billion 2 years ago, take the $17 billion that was spent, that was one-time stuff. You're about $54 billion. Right now, all I read about is how the Republicans want to take 1.5 off. The governor wants 1.5. The senators want $2 billion. We're all cutting, people. We're cutting like a lawn man. Oh, wait a minute. But the budget will be up to $60 billion as far as I can tell. This cut is only going to cost us $6 billion more than last time. Am I missing something?
Well, so here's my first takeaway is we need to hang out more because you bought. That's my first response.
Great analogy. See how you bust things down to the common man? I love that about you.
That's what matters most. That's what matters most. But here's the thing. Like, we've talked about this a couple times before, so I'm sorry if I'm saying the same thing again. But parties are not coherent. They're just not. So this isn't an issue of Republicans doing one thing and Democrats doing another thing. Like you suggested, and this is actually really important. You said it kind of briefly, but it's really important. Not only did the Senate cut $1.4 billion more than the House, $1.4 billion more than the House. The Senate is the grown-ups in this by far. The stuff that we cut are real programs. The cuts that they made are in what's called discretionary inflation. They're not even real cuts. So you're absolutely right. The House is playing funny money, and they're being irresponsible and goofy. Just take this. My agricultural budget is negative $300,000. The House agriculture budget is $17 million. And
but is this
together being irresponsible?
But we're not all talking the same language. You guys do because you all understand it. You got accountants to fill us in. The regular Joes, like myself, you say a $300 million cut in ag. Is that a cut from what you were hoping for? Or is this actually from the 2024 budget to the 26 is a lower number?
It is a lower number.
There you go. Now I'm proud of you, my friend.
You're really cutting $300,000 from the agriculture budget. I'm moving some stuff around to pay for other things, right?
Sure.
So it's not going to look like a cut, but my overall cut will be $300,000 less than the prior budget. And the House, Republicans and Democrats together, are being fiscally irresponsible and instead playing funny money, and they go with $17 million in additional spending.
See, I thought this would be another thing you and I disagree on. I thought you and I were going to disagree on this. No. So when we're done and we can't tell the world that we cut things, I'm hoping that means if you would take 54 and we could round numbers 55 billion, is it more or less than 55 billion when we're done? And that's the part I think regular Minnesotans just want to know. The less than it didn't raise as much as I wanted is not a cut theory. I think as a teacher, a guy who does language for a living, you understand what I'm talking about? Everybody has to have the same level of what we're talking about or you're not talking to people. Right.
Well, I completely 100% agree. And it frustrates me a little bit to see, some folks in the House. The Republicans always say that we're fiscally irresponsible, but Senate DFL is the only majority in the legislature right now. And we're the only ones who actually did legitimate cuts to the budget. And it's
now in the last minute, I give it to you. So you guys go be grown-ups. How much of this is going to happen? You still got to get together with the kids. And then you got, Mr. Wall's going to step in at some point and say, okay, now how much of your brilliant adult budget happens?
It's going to be a crappy month, dude. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to stick to the adultness here, especially in St. Paul. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm sorry about that. I am going to take you to a golf course when we're done. We're going to have cigars, beers. I'm going to buy, and I'll tell my wife I cut the budget because I only need an extra $100.
Exactly.
I thought it was a great analogy. Okay, got to fly. We're out of time.
All right.
Senator Aric Putnam, good friend of the program. Love having him on. More after this.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most